This is going to be sample review of 32 through 40. Let's start with number 32. My pen working? There we go. 32. Write the first 5 terms of the arithmetic sequence 2k, comma 2, comma 2k plus 2. Well, it's given that it's arithmetic, which means that you have the same difference or the same amount is going up each time. So in other words, the second term subtract the first term will be the same as the third term subtract the second term. So you just set them equal, those differences, and you solve for k. The left-hand side, we're going to leave it alone. The right-hand side, combine your 2's, and you just get 2k. The 2k on the left, I'm going to move to the right, add it, you get 4k, divide both sides by 4, k equals a half. 2/4. Now that you know k is a half, we can go up here and plug it in. So 2 times k is 2 times a half, comma 2 is the second term, and the third term is 2 times a half plus 2. 2 times a half is 1, the second term is 2, the third term is 2 times a half is 1 plus 2 is 3. Well, from that you can see it is arithmetic, definitely, and the terms are just simply going up by 1. So the final answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it said write the first 5 terms. 33 says find the sum of the first 10 terms of the sequence or the series 3, 6, 12, 24, etc. Well, in this one you can see if you observe the terms, they are doubling each time, which means that is geometric, and r is the rate of 2. You're multiplying by 2. So on 33, what we want to do is find the sum, it says, of the first 10 terms. So we have to use the formula for the sum of the geometric, which is the sum is equal to u sub 1, meaning the first term, rate to the nth power, subtract 1, all over r minus 1. So just subbing into this formula, u sub 1 is 3, r is 2, as mentioned, n is the number of terms, which they said 10, minus 1 over r minus 1. So it's 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 in the denominator is just 1, so we don't need that anymore. So it's just 3 times 2 to the 10th minus 1. It's calculator time. If you just punch that in, you should get the answer of 3,069. That's 33. 34. Let's see, 34, Mr. Smith invested some of his money at 5%. So we multiply 5% times some of his money. We don't know how much. We'll call it x. And then 2 times more at 7%. So 7% times 2 times his money. We'll call that 2x. And he gets $100 on his return. So converting our percents to decimals, we get 0.05x. Plus 0.07 times 2, which is 0.14x, equals 100. Putting our x's together, we get with 0.19x equals 100. Take this equation and your calculator, divide both sides by 0.19. 100 divided by 0.19, you should get 520, it is money, $526.32. So we round off to the nearest cent. And that's done. 35, 4% of x. This is the equation given, 4% of x. And we have a slight mistake in this equation, so I changed it to 7% of x plus 3, so the sample problem is wrong, equals 10. Like the previous problem, change your percents to decimals. You got 0.04, and there's an x there. 0.04x plus 0.07 distribute times x plus 3 times 0.07, which is 0.21, equals 10. Combining your x's, you get 0.11x. And then what I'll do is take the 10 and subtract the 0.21 to the other side. So 10 subtract 0.21 is 9.79. And then we'll divide both sides by 0.11. And just symbol calculator, x equals 89. Let me look back at the question, make sure we've answered it. It just says solve for x, so we are done with that one. 36, very similar. 36 is just the solution of an equation. 0.125x minus 6%. I'm going to change it to 0.06 of 2 minus x equals 50. Very, very similar to the last problem. We'll just distribute, collect terms. So we got 0.125x minus 0.12, and then negative, negative. Make sure you watch your signs. 0.06x equals 50. Combine your x's together, and we get 0.185x. And add the 0.12 to the right side, and we get 50.12. And then take your calculator, divide both sides by 0.185, and you should get 270.92. Number 37. This is a word problem. Joe invested half of his money at 12%, so we'll go 1/2 x, or 0.5x if you prefer, times at 12%. So I'm going to change that to a decimal. And then 1/4 of his money, so 1/4 of x, at 7%, that's 0.07. And then it says the rest of his money. Well, how much is the rest? We've already talked about half of it and 1/4 of it. That makes 3/4, so that leaves another 1/4 of his money, 1/4 of x, and that percent is 6%, 0.06, which gives us a total return or income of $520 on that money. Oh, it'd probably be easier if we convert and just go to our calculator and multiply all this stuff. But what we have is the 1/2 x times 0.12 is going to... Now, I think what I'll do, I'm just going to multiply through by 4 to get rid of the fractions. So multiplying by everything by 4. 4 times 1/2 is 2x. So I've got 2x times 0.12. Multiplying by 4 on the next one, it goes away. So I got x times 0.07. 4 on the third term gives me x times 0.06. And 4 on the right also will give us 2,080. Okay, at this point, let's combine our x's together. So we have 0.24x plus 0.07x plus 0.06x equals 2080. Scrolling a little bit here, get some room. All right, we got to add those x's up. 24 and 7 is 31, and 6 make 37. 0.37x equals 2080. And at this point, take 2080, and you'll have to divide both sides, just like the previous problems. 2080 divided by 0.37 gives me 5621.62. Again, that's money, so we round off to the hundredths. That was 37. And now onto a mixture problem, number 38. All right, let's see. Pecans at $15 a pound, so we're going to go 15 times x, which represents the pecans. And then peanuts are thrown in the mix. $5 a pound for the peanuts. Now you don't use a different variable. What you do is you look ahead and see you have a total of 10 pounds in the end. So if we mix x pecans with peanuts and want to end up with 10, then the number of peanuts, or the weight of the peanuts, is 10 subtract x. So $15 times the pecans, $5 times the pounds of peanuts will equal a mixture worth $12 a pound, and we know the weight is 10. So it's cost per unit times weight, cost per unit times weight, cost per unit times weight. And then you just solve. 15x plus 50 minus 5x equals 120. So we have 15x minus 5x is 10x. Subtract the 50 to the other side and you get 70. So x is 7. Now that represents the pounds of pecans. It says how much of each should be used. Well, if x is 7, then 10 minus x would be 3. So I'll just put pecans and then 3 on the peanuts. All right. 39. How much water should be, okay, let me kind of sketch this out. We're going to take water and add in some 90% acid, and we're going to end up with 70% acid. So that water is going to dilute the acid. So what we do is you multiply the percent of acid times the quantity. So the percent of acid water is 0%. It's not acid. So 0% times x, we don't know what x is. 90% times the amount of 90% acid. Well, the problem says that's 10 milliliters. So I multiply it by 10. So what it is, it's the percent times the amount, percent times the amount will equal the final percent, which is 70%, times the final amount. Well, if we have x water and 10 milliliters of acid, the final amount is going to be the sum of those two, or x plus 10. Hardest part of these problems is just setting up the equation. 0 times x is 0, so we just have 90% of 10, which is 9, equals 0.7x plus 7. Subtract the 7 to the other side, and we get 2. And at this point, let's see, we're going to divide both sides by 0.7, and x is going to equal 2 divided by 0.7, which is 2.8 or 2.9 actually to the nearest tenth. So we need 2.9 milliliters of water to add to the 10 milliliters of acid to reduce the acidity. 2.9. The final answer. And the last problem, number 40. I think it's another acid, yes. How much pure acid? So we're going to take pure acid, and we're going to add it to 5% acid, and we're going to get a 25% acid. Well, pure acid is 100% acid, so it's 100% times how much we don't know, and 5%, 0.05 times 50 milliliters is how much we have of that, and that's going to equal 25% acid. And again, how much are we going to have? Well, we got x pure acid, 50, so it's going to be x plus 50. 100% of x, 100% is 1, so that's 1x plus 5% of 50. Again, just go to your calculator, multiply those together, and you get 2.5. On the right-hand side, we've got to distribute 0.25x, and then 0.25 times 50 is 12.5. It's a point. All right, let's get our x's together, and we'll subtract those 0.25 x's to the left, and 1 minus 0.25 is 0.75x. Subtract that 2.5 to the right. 12.5 minus 2.5 is 10. Divide both sides by 0.75, and you get 13.3, and that's milliliters of pure acid. And that is the end of the exam review.